Welcome back, everyone. In our last lecture, we explored how technology can foster positive communication and prevent conflict. Today, we will focus on a crucial and often debated topic: the balance between monitoring employee behavior through technology and respecting their privacy. In many workplaces, technology plays a central role in how tasks are managed, productivity is measured, and employee behavior is monitored. While monitoring can be effective in preventing misconduct like bullying or harassment, it also raises questions about employee privacy. How do organizations ensure they're using technology ethically, protecting employees from harmful behaviors while also respecting their personal boundaries? In this lecture, we will explore how to find that balance, discuss the ethical implications of monitoring, and look at strategies for using technology to ensure both safety and privacy. By the end of today's lecture, you should be able to understand the ethical considerations of monitoring employee behavior in the workplace, learn how to balance technology monitoring with respect for employee privacy, explore strategies for transparent and fair use of technology to ensure a safe, respectful, and private work environment. Before diving into the ethical concerns, let's first understand why organizations monitor employees. There are several legitimate reasons why companies use technology to monitor behavior and communication. Preventing misconduct. Monitoring systems can detect inappropriate behavior such as cyberbullying, harassment, or misuse of company resources before it escalates. Ensuring compliance. In industries that are heavily regulated, companies monitor employees to ensure they comply with laws, policies, and standards. Protecting company resources. Monitoring is often used to track how company assets like software, hardware, and intellectual property are used. Measuring productivity. Some companies use monitoring tools to track how employees spend their money to optimize workflows and efficiency. While these goals are valid, monitoring can sometimes cross into areas that feel intrusive to employees, leading to concerns about trust and privacy. When using technology to monitor employees, ethical questions inevitably arise. How much is too much? Where do we draw the line between ensuring a safe workplace and respecting individual privacy? One of the primary ethical concerns with monitoring is that it can feel like an invasion of privacy. If employees feel that every move they make online is being watched, whether it's checking personal emails or communicating with colleagues, they might feel uncomfortable or even violated. This can lead to lack of trust in the organization, which ultimately harms morale and productivity. Employees should feel safe using workplace tools for professional purposes, but they should also feel that their personal privacy is respected. Over-monitoring can create a sense of constant surveillance, which can erode trust between the company and its workers. Another major ethical issue is transparency. Are employees fully aware of what data is being collected and how it's being used? In many cases, organizations fail to clearly communicate their monitoring policies, which can lead to resentment and confusion. Employees need to give informed consent to any monitoring practices, meaning they should be aware of what is being monitored, that is emails, messages, internet users, etc. How the data will be used and who has access to it. Why the monitoring is in place. Transparency helps build trust and ensures employees understand that monitoring is done to protect the organization and its people, not to control or micromanage them. Collecting employee data through monitoring raises concerns about data security. If a company gathers sensitive information, whether it's emails, private messages, or web browsing history, it must ensure that this data is securely stored and only accessible to authorized personnel. Data breaches can expose employees' personal information and create a significant trust issue. Organizations have a responsibility to handle employee data with the same level of care they would give to customer data. Without strong security measures, monitoring can quickly turn from a tool for safety to a potential liability. Now that we've explored some of the ethical concerns, let's talk about how organizations can strike the right balance. How can monitoring be done in a way that protects the company and employees while respecting privacy? Here are some strategies. The foundation of ethical monitoring is transparency. Employers should be open with employees about what types of monitoring are in place, why they are used, and how the data will be handled. This includes clearly outlining the monitoring policy in employee handbooks, holding information sessions or training to explain the reasons behind monitoring and how it will be applied, giving employees a chance to ask questions and raise concerns before monitoring is implemented. The more transparent the organization, the more likely employees are to feel comfortable with the process. It's important to set clear boundaries around what will and won't be monitored. Not everything employees do online should be tracked. For example, if employees are using work devices for personal reasons during breaks, they should feel confident that these activities won't be monitored unless they violate company policy. Creating a defined scope of monitoring ensures that the process feels fair and that employees know where the line is drawn. This could include monitoring only company-related communications or platforms, restricting the collection of personal browsing data unless necessary for compliance. Monitoring should be framed around protecting employees rather than controlling or micromanaging them. For example, using monitoring tools to detect cyberbullying or harassment shows that the organization is focused on creating a respectful, safe workplace. However, using monitoring to track how many minutes someone spends away from their desk or how often they check the phone can feel overly controlling and unnecessary. When monitoring is tied to safety and well-being, it feels supportive rather than invasive. To reduce the sense of surveillance, companies can use tools that anonymize certain types of data. For example, employee feedback platforms or tools that track trends in workplace communication don't need to focus on individual employees. Instead, they can provide a broader picture of team dynamics or potential areas of concern without making anyone feel singled out. This approach allows organizations to monitor workplace culture and safety without interfering in individual privacy unnecessarily. Once data is collected, it must be protected. Organizations need to implement strong security measures to prevent unauthorized access to employee information. Only a limited number of authorized personnel, such as HR or legal teams, should have access to sensitive data. Additionally, there should be clear protocols for how long data is stored and how it will be used, and how it will be deleted after it is no longer needed. Let's look at a story where transparency and monitoring help create a positive work environment. A large financial services firm wanted to implement monitoring on its internal communication platforms to prevent harassment and cyberbullying. Instead of simply rolling out the technology, it held multiple town hall meetings with its employees, explaining what the tools would track and how they would be used, and why monitoring was important for maintaining a safe and respectful workplace. Employees were allowed to voice their concerns, and the company adjusted its policies to ensure that personal communications were excluded from monitoring. By the time the system was implemented, employees felt reassured that the monitoring was in place for their safety, not to intrude on their personal space. As a result, the organization saw fewer incidents of inappropriate behavior, and employees felt comfortable using the company's communication platforms. The moral of this story? Transparency and open dialogue go a long way in making employees feel that monitoring policies are there to protect them, not to spy on them. Think of employee monitoring like a security camera in a public space. When you walk into a store, you expect there to be cameras watching to protect customers and the store itself. However, those cameras are generally in public areas, not in private dressing rooms or restrooms. The same logic applies to workplace monitoring. Employees should expect that their professional behavior on company platforms might be observed, but their personal activities and private communications should remain their own. Finding this balance helps employees feel safe and respected without crossing the line into unnecessary surveillance. For your assignment, I would like you to draft a sample policy for ethical monitoring in a fictional company. Outline the types of monitoring you would use, how you would communicate the policy to employees, and what measures you would put in place to protect their privacy. Be sure to explain how monitoring will benefit both the company and its employees. That concludes today's lecture. In our next session, we'll wrap up our discussion on technology and workplace bullying by exploring how organizations can integrate AI and automation into their bullying prevention strategies. Thanks for your attention, and I look forward to continuing this discussion next time.